Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to wait for a few minutes, try and allow a couple more people here to join. So thank you for your time. I'll ask a universal question. Are you all ready for the holidays? Yeah. Guys doing anything good for Thanksgiving?
It'd be really interesting to find if anybody is not ready for the holidays or doesn't want to have them.
Well, that's a question I didn't want to pose exactly that way, right? So,
Well, as not being the host, I'll ask it from the other side.
yeah, and that's why we're here, right? To get everyone's thoughts here. What is it? Spirited debate drives a lot of good outcomes, right?
Hey,
I got
open
my,
discussion.
yep, I got my t-shirt that says Happy Thanksgiving, ready to talk politics.
Well,
I did
yeah,
see a great, I did see a great hat the other day, and it just said they both suck.
yeah, no, that's pretty accurate right there for sure.
Yep.
I'm just glad it's over. I think we all just want to make money, so I
That's
think we're
it.
ready for that for sure. All right. Well, we have one more minute, but again, thank you guys. Um, I'll be spending Thanksgiving with my sister, so that'll be nice. There's never a political conversation. I'm the last of seven, and mom and dad taught us early on never to talk politics. So I think I was 18 and I was really dumb, and I called my dad a dead dog Democrat, so that didn't go over well. How about
And you made it this far.
that? You know, things were different back then, right? It was a quick sleight of hand that could adjust the attitude, but
Yeah.
but it's good. All right, well, other people will be joining in, but we'll go ahead and we'll get started. So, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining today's roundtable. I'm excited to get this group together to talk about the strategic role of technology and how it drives business forward. Right. I've spent a lot of time trying to marry technology with processes and initiatives and coming up with the right outcome. And it seems like everyone does it differently. And having a wide network has always been something that I relied on, right? So that's the goal of here. That's really the vision of this whole thing, right? So with that being said, the can technology drives investment and outcomes, and again, decision making, and that's really a big part of what we want to do. What we want to do here is we have a brilliant guest speaker, Eric Lindbergh. I'll introduce him more in just a second, but he's going to be able to speak to us a lot about current technology. I don't know. A real funny story is I was looking at current technology and all the different things, and all of a sudden I felt old, right? So AI is one of the core topics we want to cover today. Uh, can you run fast enough to keep up with technology? But our job is to implement it and have it make sense. So that's what we're going to do here. So with that, let's get started. My name is Steve Sainer. I'm CEO of Forseti Solutions. We also have a couple other technology companies. One's a startup around data privacy and protection. But again, leveraging AI and bringing Forseti Solutions, by the way, is a technology service and delivery company. So work primarily in the ERP space, yada, yada, yada. But it's just driven a lot of, we get a lot of exposure across the board, right? So that works out well. I've been in technology since 1999. I was an accountant for about 15 years. CFO was a buddy of mine. He came out and said, "Sainer, get the heck out of IT or out of finance." Got me a job over at Epicor Software. I didn't even know what SQL stood for. They hired me anyway. Self-taught three languages, IT director, and just been in my own business for about 8 years. So brings a lot of experiences, failures that I hope to, we could all share in those things. Um, so as we go through this, we'll go around the table, names, roles, company, right, and then an icebreaker question. And this one I was excited about. About 10 years ago, someone came to me and I just met the guy. I was working for Kaiser Permanente at the time, and he goes, "Hey, Sainer, if you could do it all over again and restart your career, what career would you choose? And I didn't even hesitate. I said, I'd love to be a broadcaster, sport broadcaster. And he looked at me and he said, nobody, I've asked probably 200 people, no one's ever answered that quickly, right? But it's true. If I could do it all over again, I would love to just travel about the country and meet, great athletes and call games. So people like in the vein of Vin Scully, right? Try to get people to see exactly what I'm seeing through words. So that's uh, that's kind of my restart if I could do it. I'm fortunate. I'm passionate about technology, so it's been a good landing for me, even though I can't be a sportscaster. So with that, I'll turn it over to one of my partners here, Marcelo, and please introduce yourself, Marcelo.
Thank you, Steve, and welcome everybody. My name is Marcelo Paz. I'm CTO at Forseti Solutions. I have my background is in IT, and I have been implementing ERP systems in 1999, executing different roles, and these implementations were all across Americas and Europe. I had the chance to work with completely very different companies, from very extensive asset management utilities and oil and gas to service companies who were in the business of gambling and hospitality. And if I need to look back, I can say that more than 60% of those companies were manufacturing companies. And in my experience, at least in what I had to do at that point, 50% what I did was for food and beverage companies. Now, back to the questions. If I had to have a superpower, I think I'm going to choose teletransportation. It's going to save a lot of time for me. It could be nice to be wherever you want immediately without having to go through security and carry your bag and all of that. You can sleep in your bed at any time. And if I need to do everything over again and start over, I think I'd like to dedicate myself to sports. I was pretty good when I was young, but now I'm older, a little bit overweight. But if I have to go back, I think I'd like to be a professional sportman. That said, we are going to continue with these introductions, and we're going to go through the way I see it here in the list. I think Kevin Eliasson,
Sure.
and you.
Yeah, I sure can. So my name's Kevin Eliasson. I'm the VP of IT here at AP Emissions. I'm starting to feel old. I've been in manufacturing and IT management for 40 plus years. So thanks for making me feel good, guys. Um, the so a lot as I take a look at this, and I've been through. I always laugh when we talk about time sharing and all the stuff we've been through, and I go back to when the 8080 was a great computer, and we finally got a 10 meg drive, and everybody was jumping for joy. And I also went through the stacks of cards, and you only dropped those once before you learned that you needed to label them. But I've been through a lot of that, so and I really want to have a conversation about AI and really figure about where it fits. I feel it fits in places, but I feel it a lot of times we're trying to force it in where perhaps it doesn't fit. We're just trying to get AI in our business, and maybe it doesn't fit because I've got users that can't even type their username in, so I'm not sure that AI is where I should be going. I was going to talk about the fact as a child, I wanted to be a professional athlete. I played on lots of teams that I have been played for. And then, of course, apparently after you play rugby for 17 years and football for 15, your body says, no, apparently you're not going to be a professional athlete, and we'll start replacing parts. So I think if I went back, I moved from Canada many years ago. I started my career actually in carpentry, and my intention as I start taking a look at retirement years, I'm going to go back to carpentry. I'm going to start doing work for what I say is going to be old people that I feel get ripped off. So I'm going to be that guy that's going to go out and help some of these old people and, charge them for material. And my time at that point is just free. So
Oh,
that for me is relaxing. And I think that's where I'll go. So
nice, nice,
Nice.
nice. Hey, Kurt, please introduce yourself for us.
Yeah, hey, so Kirk Donahoe, I'm Director of Data Analytics for three different companies. Kind of unique role that we're all owned by the same private equity firm. We're in food and beverage. So we've got a baking company which owns Pillsbury, Funfetti, Martha White Flour, whole bunch
Wow.
of brands like that. We've got a dairy company which is Dean's Dips and Marie's Dressings, and then we've got the largest take and bake pizza manufacturer in the US.
Hmm.
We're all D365, Dynamics 365 ERP, so that kind of allows me to manage all of the different orgs because we're in the same business with the same ERP. Actually, since 2015, I was in the Microsoft Partner Channel with a Dynamics 365 Biz Apps partner,
Mhm.
focused 100% on manufacturing. So during that time, I led 50 implementations around building data warehouses and reporting solutions for manufacturers. Um, let's see. I guess if I had to go back and do it all over again, I would be a landscape architect.
Really?
Um, I really love fixing up homes and doing yards and, kind of envisioning how to transform something. So I've done that a number of times with my own homes. Unfortunately, I've overdone it. And then when I go to sell it, I don't make a whole lot of money off of it, but it sells really fast because people love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's the best house on the block that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's me. Nice to meet you all.
Fantastic. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
Next in the list, Gary.
Hello, Gary Hardison. Currently at Aeromotive. We're aftermarket automotive manufacturer and distributor. We're catering to more of the high performance, a lot of racing end users, things like that. My background is quite a bit mixed. I was 8 years military, and I'll tie that into one of my regrets or what I would do if I could change things. And after 8 years, I decided to get out, and if I could do it again, I'd probably stay in. I loved it, and enjoyed all of my friends. And the other side is, as I'm aging and they're retired and I'm not, it's like, wow, maybe I chose the wrong path by going into manufacturing. But anyway. So, yeah, so I have a bit of a mixed background. I've done everything from the manufacturing engineering. Um, my my current title is VP of Operations and Supply Chain. Sounds like
Mhm.
I'm one of the non-IT folks here, but oddly enough, I do have a connection with IT. As a manufacturing engineer at Bosch, somehow I got roped into being their SAP super user. And then later in my career, I led a couple of ERP implementations. And, it's not truly my background, but if somebody is willing to teach, I tend to learn pretty quickly and I can do what I'm told. So it's worked out so far.
Yeah. And you've done it more than once, so you must have been successful the preceding times, right?
All times were painful, but it's like everything else. If you listen to folks that know what they're doing and you do the right steps and you're very detail oriented, well, it's funny how it starts to work.
Yeah. And get up every morning to do it again, right?
You know it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. All right, Marcelo.
I think next, Matey.
It'll be pronounce
Sorry,
that.
sorry for late joining a little bit. Apologies for that. And by the way, nice to meet you all.
Pleasure.
Quick introduction for myself would be, my full name is Nehasis Maiti. I just put in Maiti because you guys can pronounce easily. So that's
Thank
what
you for that.
everybody calls me at my work. So I work for Fincantieri Marine Group. It's a subsidiary of Fincantieri. We are basically sixth largest in the world for shipbuilding. And mostly in Italy. It's headquartered in Italy and as a public company in Italy. But mostly in Italy, we build like cruise ships and naval businesses. In US specifically, which I look after as a CIO here, we build US Navy ships, like warships. Large ones, we are building right now about 10 frigates. We're north of Wisconsin. We are also like a fourth in the country after HHI. Yeah, it's a very different kind of industry. And I've been here past 2 years. Before that, I was about 10 years in Johnson Controls. Probably you guys know that.
Okay.
The big building companies, I used to manage most of the large transformation programs. So very much close to manufacturing. Manufacturing is probably my another side of the skill set. I do look after IT, technology, and network, everything. One regret probably, I should have probably taken finance as a major to learn more finance.
Oh, okay.
And I could have convinced my CFO for more funding, So that's where I stand. But nice to meet you all. I'm happy to contribute in a way here. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Oliver. You're still there.
There it is. Come on down.
So Oliver Fisher, I'm the Global IT Director for Emery Oleochemicals. I'm in that role for 6 months. I have been in manufacturing IT management for the last 24 years. Mostly SAP. Have done other ERP systems as well, but I usually get hired to implement SAP somewhere. If I would choose again, I would probably choose IT again. I've tried many times to break out of it. I have a MBA, I have a political science degree, but I always fall back to IT because it's easier and makes more money. And I have ADHD, so the constant change of IT actually suits me very well because it's not boring. I get bored very easily. So I would probably fall back to the same thing. I've done a lot of other things before I got into this IT management side. I was 9 years at Microsoft and literally grew with Microsoft in the enterprise space. When I started there was nobody else, so I was defaulted into the whole enterprise space. That was before Windows NT was even on the market, and grew with it and then burned out because I couldn't do it anymore. But like I said, I always fall back. Even before I went to college, I had a software company that I started with 14 years old. So I'm literally also 40 years in this business now.
Wow.
So I'm always falling back into that. Like I said, it suits my personality, but I'm tired of it. This is probably my last gig here, and then I'm going to retire and live on a small farm somewhere.
Nice. Well, good.
And finally, Pramada, you're last, but it was alphabetically, so it's not your fault.
Last but
You
not
should be first, but you were.
Good job, Marcella.
Thank you all. Happy to be here and excited to see what this forum has in store for us. My name is Pramada Tonas. I work as the Director of IT Applications at Young Innovations. We manufacture dental supplies. So go to your dentist. It's really important. So I've been with this company for 8 years. We are a dental manufacturing company. Our growth model is M&As. So I work on a lot of mergers and acquisition projects. ERP is my core focus here. So when we acquire companies, try to integrate them. Our main ERP system is IFS. They are pretty large in the manufacturing space. They're growing at a really fast pace. I was actually at the IFS conference a few weeks ago, and the whole industrial AI was like really the overarching theme for the conference, which is what kind of, made me interested in this forum. It seems like AI is going to be mainstream So, what can we do to prepare and just be a little bit more proactive about it? Icebreaker question. I think I would be an interior designer if I wouldn't be in IT, because that's my passion. I
Okay.
try to use it throughout my house. My husband's not happy with
Uh,
it. Home improvements.
yeah, no, love home improvement. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. It reminds me of, I'm going to talk incessantly if people don't stop me, right? I was helping a neighbor when I was a kid paint this room, right? And his wife picked out this color pink, and it was Pepto-Bismol pink. And we painted this whole room. And I'm like, oh no, let's not do it. He's like, you got to do it. And she wanted the ceiling done too. So literally, when we finished, she walked in, she goes, we got to do this all over again, right? So a trial and error for sure. But every time I look at a bottle of Pepto Bismol, I think of my good friend Jerry and his wife. So, all right, well, thank you everyone for sharing funny stories. It's it really to me it's a window to the soul of an individual just when they look back and they try to reevaluate things. I think our whole life is built on if we're progressing, we're reinventing ourselves. But today's topics are going to cover AI and also RFID. Both those topics, to me, um, there's just a lot of energy and momentum in those areas, and a lot of capabilities in those areas that enable downstream aspects of what we're trying to do as a business, what we're trying to do as a good citizen of the planet, and compliance, right? And how we're trying to drive and make things better. With that being said, I want to welcome Mr. Eric Lindberg here. And Eric, why don't you introduce yourself to the group?
Sounds good. Thanks, Steve. His name's Eric Lindberg. I work for a company called Labata, and we take technologies like RFID and AI and help integrate them. So I've been here 19 years. Prior to that, I have a lot of manufacturing background because for 6 years I worked for an ERP company called Forseti. They have since got purchased, like many of the other ones, by one of the big brothers out there. But I remember taking the floppy disk, like Kevin said, boxes of floppy disks to upgrade the systems, and then halfway through it would crash, and you're just swearing and not much fun. So technology has definitely changed. I mean, it was token rings back even 25 years ago. We still dealt with a little bit. So got a lot of experience in the manufacturing and ERP. It's a space that I love. It's a passion of mine. Just love the whole process of manufacturing and warehousing. If I had to do it all over again, probably would become a professional fisherman. So it's a passion of mine. I got a place up on the third largest lake in Minnesota here. I'm from Minnesota, and we got a place up on the third largest lake there, and I never get sick of it. I could do it every day. So looking forward to, like some of you mentioned, retiring and being able to do that as much as I can. So
Good deal. Yeah, Eric, you also bring a lot of experience in just problem solving with technologies, right? So your ability to marriage those two things together, I think, makes you the perfect spotlight speaker today. So, um, we'll get started here. We've got a couple questions for Eric. The goal here is to introduce concepts and talk tracks, and then we'll kick it after Eric goes through 3 or 4 questions. We'll go back. I'll ask the group some questions, looking for real sharing, right? Some spirited debate or contrary views. What's worked or not worked, and I don't know about you, but what doesn't work hits me the hardest. It's failure that's always driven me. Success, I almost forget about. It's where it went wrong that I burn a hole in my pillow at night. So, all right, Eric. Question number 1. When companies are falling short with effectively utilizing, or where are companies effectively falling short in your experience trying to fully and effectively utilize AI with ERP systems and supply chain specifically, or manufacturing, which is our focus now?
sure, that's a great question. Let me type it into ChatGPT here and see what the results are. It looks like ChatGPT kind of agrees with me. One of the biggest hurdles is data integrity. So I'm sure everyone in your roles, you've heard it, you've dealt with it. If the data is not accurate on the back end, on the ERP system or whatever software you guys are using, if it's outdated, if it's not in real time, or any other factors that are affecting that data, all AI is going to do is just amplify those flaws within your systems and give you even more unreliable and potentially even damaging results. So critical and key to making sure in your systems that your data is all accurate. I'm sure many people on this call know what ERP stands for, so it's Enterprise Resource Planning. Planning's the key thing, right? You're using these systems to enter your forecast and figure out what do you need to order, when do you need to order it, how much of you do you need to order it, when do you need to order it by. So planning's crucial, and planning's where AI really does shine. It really can take that data and help you plan. If your data is accurate, it can help you forecast better. It can look at factors even outside of your organization. So economic trends, even new markets maybe that might fit for your products. So it can look at outside factors as well, not just all your inside data. So you want to make sure you're looking at that as well as you're looking at planning on implementing AI. Little story about planning. We had some friends that went to another country. They'd never been there before. He went on ChatGPT, planned out the entire vacation for him, where to stay, what cities to see, what restaurants. I mean, it literally did everything, and they said it was one of the best vacations they ever taken. So it really can do a good job of helping you plan. It's crazy. I've seen customers use AI to actually get into new markets and determine should they enter this market. And sometimes the answer is no, it's not a good market, and it'll tell you the exact reasons why. So good question, Steve.
Nice, nice. No, data is always something that people seem to ignore until it fails them, right? So it's been hard to get investment in data related projects. It's been my experience. So that's a good answer, right? Garbage in, garbage out. So we got to make sure it's there. So, all right.
Good. So Eric, I have two questions. What is your experience with RFID, and what are some of the advantages you're seeing for companies implementing a RFID for real-time visibility?
Thanks, Marcel. It's a great question. Some of you on this call probably remember Walmart mandating RFID years ago and the epic failure that was. Back then, the technology just was not there. Also, the cost of the tags were prohibitive to a lot of customers that have lower cost items, but mostly it was just that technology wasn't there. And I'm here to tell you the technology today is definitely there. If you guys are not looking at RFID technology to help with your supply chains, inventory, I guarantee your competitors are, and you're going to lose some market share. It's just a way to easily implement workflows into your systems where you don't have to have the human interaction. And we all know human interaction can cause errors. So just the increase of the supply chain visibility is huge as well. I just ordered a package on Amazon. It literally said it'll be shipped the same day. It came within 3 hours, and I knew exactly where that package was. I knew right when it left. I could see on a truck where it was going down on a GPS map. I saw the picture of it when it was delivered to my doorstep. I got instant notifications, and that's what everyone's wanting right now. It's what everyone's used to, and that's what everyone's looking to. So RFID can really help automate all of that. Let's face it, we're living in an information age, and everyone wants that information, and they want it right now, and they want to know where it's at, and they want to get their products as quickly and fastly as they can.
In a manufacturing sense, manufacturing has a lot of complexities when it comes to issuing materials and making sure that your traceability adherence is there, and that you can do those things. RFID seems to play a large role in that. Can you expand on that a little further?
Yeah, so we've helped a lot of customers, and the fastest ROIs I've seen and the quickest and easiest implementations are at the pallet level. So you can do it at the product level as well, but the pallet level offers by far, it's easy to implement, it's easy to integrate. There's a lot of systems that can connect back into your ERP system, but knowing where that pallet is through that license plate RFID label, did it move? Where did it move to? What items are on that pallet? Did the pallet go through the right dock door where the RFID readers are? And if not, there's a big red light that's flashing and shining and telling that forklift driver, hey, this is the wrong pallet going into the wrong truck to the wrong customer. So catching things like that without any human interaction is huge. I'm sure everyone on this call has had issues where the wrong items have gotten shipped, and the cost of dealing with that is astronomical versus the cost of implementing a easy ERP system like that. And there are definitely items as well that yield themselves really well at an item level to RFID tracking and traceability throughout the facility as well. It's just something that's a little bit, you got to define it a little bit more. It doesn't have quite the ROA like the pallet does. Works really well on retail too. We've seen a lot of retail adoption of RFID at the product level, so they know what's out on the floor, when it's getting low, when to replenish it, what's low in the back room, when do they need to order more. So it can really help with that visibility as well.
Thank you.
Nice.
How do you think AI will change and incrementally change, or is it going to be at some point? It seems like AI is almost going to push us out of the way, right? But how do you see AI change in ERP systems moving forward? I know you talked about data, but what else?
Yeah, so before I jump into that, just a quick little funny story on AI that I dealt with just the other day. I had to attend a trade show and they requested that we have a bio on each of us. I got the request from our ISV manager and she said, hey, Eric, I need your bio. I just took what I had on LinkedIn, sent it to her, and she replied back almost instantly, which I was shocked, and said, hey, how about this? And I read it and I was like, how did you do that? That's exactly everything. It's like you knew me. It's like it hit on all the key points. And she said, I simply typed it into ChatGPT and that's what came out of it. So, so just a little funny story on personally how it's affected me. But as far as the ERP systems, it can look into the ERP systems, like I said earlier, and help forecast, help automate that forecasting process, help figure out based upon the data of are there seasonal concepts that are going to change? You need to increase your inventory. Is there things out of line that don't seem right? Is there something that's standing out that this doesn't seem right in the system to help you find errors and help you correct those errors and determine how did those errors happen? It's just going to definitely help change ERP systems and help automate and just allow people to focus more on what they're good at. Let the systems figure out and let the AI figure out what's wrong, what's good, what markets should we go into, should we not go into certain markets. It's kind of where I keep the key points I see in it.
I'd like to ask the group a question here around, and please love to have a spirited debate and really share with your other executives here. What's been your experiencing with working to implement AI? I have my own experience, but I'd love to hear what this team has to offer in that regard.
I mean, I can go first probably. So, yeah, so our life cycle of the product is pretty long. I mean, we do also have a heterogeneous landscape for ERPs. We are not only SAP. We do have BAN, we do have Epicor, we do have some other homegrown systems. We do have Oracle P6, some EV solutions like Cobra, Deltek. So the solutions what we have, the data is very fragmented. So one thing probably I just would like to highlight to the group that it is not necessarily always true that if you have a fragmented data, AI cannot work. It is not necessarily true. There are some cases it may work where your data is more like having a tagging, or let's say a metadata is there. If some system can identify, okay, this field means this data, and you have supplied that information to your model, it can still understand a certain extent. It will not be a ideal situation, but it can still work. And there are certain good thing about, I'd say, we are using some Copilot, for example, and
Yeah, it's impressive.
yeah, I tried using some other ones which I feel like still not there. Microsoft is well ahead. Azure is well ahead than any other AI model engine you can or platform you can call it. Right now, my question maybe for Eric is that's a very interesting thing you talked about the RFID. I never thought of that. I mean, what kind of use cases you will have to maybe reduce the cycle time or reduce inventory count, reduce probably the search in the warehouse, for example. Right now, the runner go for the Kanban search, let's say. I mean, you are all manufacturing guys, that you do understand these terms, bro. But our situation is that we have large like warehouses, and especially type of material we have starting from steel to a module which can send or fire a missile, for example. Okay, so how do you probably predict? Okay, you know what? Next 3 days, I will have this many picks. Can AI help that? I mean, or somebody does a again, this is all fascinated idea that I have not tried, like a drone inventory taking. We are a large yard. Can some drone take a picture of something? Can AI analyze it or read the barcode and say that, oh, you know what? You have these many instruments you have in this area. Any highlight on that, Eric?
Yep. So I'll kind of first start with the cycle counting. So there's solutions out there where you can actually have a RFID reader on a pallet that the pallet jack picks up and just simply runs up and down the aisles and does a physical inventory. We've even had customers that use automated fork trucks. So literally at night, they are doing their cycle counts in one night, which would usually take like 20 people to do their cycle counting. And it's automatically just going up and down the aisles and doing the inventory. And the next morning they have all the results. And then AI can take those results and kind of pinpoint it a little bit more. We're working with a company that does drones to actually fly through outdoor and indoor, uses LiDAR, it uses barcode scanning, it uses AI technology to actually see, okay, is that pallet even in the wrong spot? That's the wrong pallet and the wrong item in the wrong location. And what all is on that pallet and where is it, and do inventory that way as well. So the technology is just, I mean, me thinking about drones flying up and down warehouses, it's not that far away. We have customers actually doing it. So
yeah, I mean, it's a very huge use case probably for us because, I mean, some of you may wonder like how big the yard is. We cannot take a picture. We do through Google Maps. It is so large. We can think about like probably extending 10 different football fields, something like that. So there are things like they put it like outside at the yard, and which is needed by the water, they will put it by the water. So this is a scattered warehouse, right? I mean, it's not necessarily a organized B2B, those something like that, like a repetitive manufacturing one. But good to learn, Eric. Maybe more something more probably I would be connecting with you. Thank you.
We can connect up and we can dive into it a lot further, definitely.
Does anyone have anything around food and beverage manufacturing experience with RFID? That's been something I've been researching of late for a certain customer, but love to hear if anyone has any experience with that.
I mean, one of my prior roles, I worked in packaging manufacturing, mostly for food and beverage. And it is a subject, but it's, not in the manufacturing process. So a lot of customers ask for that to include basically RFID in their packaging. Now that you can actually print an RFID, they want to do that. So, the typical, laser etched, production manufacturing, they want to go where they can actually electronically read that. And so know where actually certain batches of their product is. So if you have a recall, you can actually tell it. In the past, you had that function in the ERP system, basically. So you were tracking, as Eric said, a pallet and knew what lots were on that pallet, and that's the way you traced it. Now you and that was Walmart's original idea. You want to trace it to the actual product level on the shelf and know exactly where every single piece is.
Mhm.
That is all doable, but there's still a cost attached to that.
Yeah.
Even the costs of RFID has come down dramatically. There's also different types of RFID. So all of these like printed labels, they're passive RFIDs. So you need to have scanners that are able to read either flying a drone, and it sounds really cool, through a warehouse or something like that, that you actually have like the active beacon that actually reads it, or you have active RFIDs. That's a very interesting market where we were involved quite a bit because there is RFIDs, for example, out there that have also temperature sensors, and you can remotely read that, especially in the food and beverage, where you have to have something frozen or cooled at a certain temperature
Mhm.
all the time. You can actually then track and say, yes, from the production to the end consumer, it was always in that cool state.
Yes.
Uh, and obviously, if you go down this rabbit hole, you very quickly will also go into AI, where AI can actually help you organize this data better. Because the problem is with the volume of data that you grow through technology like that, it's almost impossible for any human to actually really deal with that volume of data.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm currently back in the chemical industry where I spent most of my career since I've been in IT management. Neither RFID nor AI are really big subjects there. RFID is basically impossible. Most of our products are pipelines, and the biggest units are like tanker tracks on a rail, or like a tanker track that goes to manufacturing. Some of it is palletized, but this is the smallest amounts. And there is some benefit to know where it is, but it's like the cost benefit is too small. It's different if I hear maybe and so it's like whatever, you have 1 million parts or 10 million parts per ship. You want to know where they are and you want to be able to trace them. So that's great technology. So it really depends a little bit on the industry. The same is true for AI. The problem we have, and I bring these up all the time, is intellectual property. If you open yourself up to AI, even if you have a walled off thing, what kind of Copilot likes to offer you, there's always the risk that your information gets out.
Interesting.
And
Yeah,
so we have right now strict policy against AI. That might change. I don't know. This is not driven by IT. This is driven from legal and the business, because intellectual property is all we have. If you
Yeah.
know how we
Right.
manufacture certain chemicals, you can do it too, and someone in China will do it and may do it cheaper.
Yeah.
And
So that's really the risk.
Oliver, I mean, you brought a great point there, which at least for me, or for everybody, it's a big question on how safe can AI be, or it is now in the current state, and where can it be taken at? Because it's great, it's great if you can use it in that way, but how do isolate it from the, let's say, external world? So, as you said, intellectual property. I mean, so
I mean, you
there are
have
points that
already
still needs to be.
Yeah, any content creator, if it's music, if it's literature, they're already rebelling against this, because you're basically using their works in order to train these AI systems that then use that knowledge to do that. And then you can say, yeah, a human could read that book too, but in reality, first of all, they don't pay for the book. They find an online version, which is also a risk in an AI, because how do you know what information went in that? It's a black box. You as an end consumer, if you type something in ChatGPT, you don't know what the data source is that is referenced. I like that example. It's like that AI bot probably went out to LinkedIn and looked at your profile and created a nicer profile. A lot of people use it that way too. Copilot as well. You just put something in and says like, "Can you reword this so it fits a certain audience?" And it does it. It does it really well. I think these are the little use cases, but in an industrial setting, it becomes much more difficult. And it's often what we say as AI is actually not really AI. A good example, you brought this up earlier, we have actually introduced product planning software, but it's a mathematical model. It takes hundreds of factors into account, but it's not based on AI. And you can call this AI because there's still a black box that you don't know what it does, but it somehow comes up with better results than humans because humans can only do 2 to 20 factors. That's the maximum. Yeah. But again, this is a mathematical model that has nothing to do. There's no AI background that developed that. That's smart people that develop these mathematical formulas. So I think the definition of AI is not very clear nowadays either, because are we talking about generative AI? Are we talking about neural networks, a combination of both? Or are we talking actually about stuff we already have for the last 10, 20 years, which is more analytics, coming up with predictive models, but these are not AI, but we sometimes put it under the same umbrella.
If I may, Pramada, you're in the dental care field, right? Manufacturing, medical care. Can you share with us, are you guys using any RFID, or have you guys begun to try to ramp up, get your head around AI?
Yeah, I don't think we have explored RFID yet, but some of our business units are regulated by FDA. We sell drug products that are regulated. We do have a system called TraceLink. I don't know if you guys have heard about the DSCSA, which is the track and trace, basically, to curb the piracy, of drugs and regulated drug products. So this DSCSA Act is basically mandating all the manufacturers to have this traceability throughout the ecosystem. And so at any given point of time, you are able to tell where this particular vial of a particular drug is. Is it at a doctor's office? Was it used? Is it still in action? So we haven't used RFID for that, but we do use the GTIN numbers, which basically is like a generic barcode that is recognized universally. And so that is being used. Our warehouses are not as large as what Matey was saying. Like, we have small warehouses. We do cycle counting. So that is one of the things that I actually might look into. That was interesting to know that the RFID reader can, potentially help with cycle counting and things like that, because that's just manual labor, right? Like, we're doing that quite frequently. So that was good learning. As far as AI, so we are looking at tools and that we can use. My personal opinion is where AI is right now, it will do the grunt work for you. So, like ChatGPT can create job descriptions and just very generic stuff. And it's really good at it, and I mean, I do have to give it credit because, when we're doing a lot of things, it will really save you time. So, if someone builds the framework for you and then you fill in the details, like, it has saved you the time to do the minute tasks that you really, that is like an assistant to like every single person that's working. So I use it, and then I will add the intellect to it that is needed, that is not there right now. So that's what makes it a little bit more personal. And you create a skeleton and then you fill it in, and you can use it for a lot of different things, business requirement document, business cases, project plans, like you name it, and you can use it. So I think like you can start there. In the manufacturing space, we're looking for applications that can do similar things, like it can remove the labor piece of it. So we're looking at applications that will read emails and create orders, right? So something that takes the email, you feed into an AI tool, it will generate a CSV file that you can then upload in your ERP system. So fairly benign, right? Like someone would be reading the email and creating the order. There is no risk of, IP loss or, this data is gonna go somewhere and someone's gonna use it, because it's already out there. We're not sharing information that's proprietary.
Hmm.
So I think like playing it safe, and I feel like manufacturing industry is technologically always a little behind than other industries to adopt new technologies. And I've seen that in our company, in my previous organization. But, AI, I think, will change all that. I think you have to be very much in the forefront and, just use it, at least acknowledge that it's there, and it's there for, it's gonna stay. It's gonna stay, and it's gonna change the way we do things.
No, it's a great segue. And Kirk, I mean, you represent quite a large conglomerate of food and beverage. I mean, pies alone, right? I imagine you make pies all year long so that you can distribute them over the next 6 weeks, right? Between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And with given your data analytics uh, position, how have you guys been able to do you use extensively RFID? Are there things that you can share with the group around that and just around data?
Um, from an RFID perspective, no. We have our manufacturing facilities. We don't keep a lot on site. Everything goes out to 3PL, and so they have their own pallet tracking systems and so forth, but it's really outside of our world,
Mhm.
primarily. Um, let's see. Trying to think. What was the second part of your question?
Oh, it's around data, and so we've had conversations hitting on data quality. It was
Right.
shared that you don't have to have perfect data, which when you're dealing with so many disparate data sources,
Right.
that how what's been your experience in there, and has there been I guess a law of diminishing returns sometimes when you're looking to cleanse data when trying to leverage AI, or is it something that you've been successful doing?
Yeah, so I've really been struggling to find use cases for AI, particularly generative AI, for what we're doing at this point. Um, I've used it to do some analysis on our different data sets by using like text to SQL to
Mhm.
allow some of our end users to be able to go in and query data. That can be a little challenging from a data quality perspective,
Yeah.
but it really does open up a lot of self-service exploration that
Mhm.
really most users wouldn't be able to take advantage of, particularly our sales folks. They don't
Yeah.
seem have a lot of technical skills. Um, but I liked what Oliver said around how a lot of things are classified as AI, but they're really perhaps machine learning or something that's been
Yeah.
around forever. So we're doing a lot of forecasting, ARIMA, and different forecast models. But that wouldn't necessarily fall into the AI bucket, I would say.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Kirk, how are
Mhm.
you tracing and tracking? I assume you're using lot trace, but are you using any technology like labels that change colors when the temperature hits an extreme? And then I know there's some technologies like RFID enhanced into those labels, so you can tell, like Oliver was saying, when did that happen? What was it in the truck where the air conditioner went out and it was only a half hour and you're fine? Was it, how are you guys tracking all that, being that you're a food and beverage company?
Yeah, so I would say the primary one that would be impacted by that is the dairy company, which is dressings and dips. Again, it goes back to 3PL. So they're managing all of that for us. We know when it's in the warehouse, it's stored in our refrigerators and can monitor it from that aspect. As soon as it's loaded up from the pallets onto the trucks, it's beyond our responsibility, and we rely on the vendor to handle all of that tracking.
Okay, got it. By the way, your Dean's dip is amazing. I love your
It's very
Dean's
good.
French onion dip.
It's very
There's
good.
no better
Yeah.
French onion
And
dip out there, buddy.
yeah, and Marie's dressings are phenomenal. I
Yeah.
love. Yeah, yeah. Our Pillsbury stuff is, you got to limit that. It's not so good for you.
So are the 3PLs responsible? So say an E. coli breaks out, are they responsible then for the product since they've been warehousing it? Or how does that work? Do you know?
Uh, yeah, I don't quite know, honestly. Inside of my role, I'm data analytics, so I'm kind of digging through everything and providing it up. That gets a little outside of my realm.
Or I want to be respectful of time. We're about winding down, but Kevin or Gary, were there any additional questions or comments that you guys might have that you'd like to contribute?
One of the questions that I've gotten, I don't know how you guys are handling it, but one of the things I'm looking for is, more of the point of sale data. So I did some work with Walmart a long time ago when it was the epic fail. I was part of working with that one. But, one of the things they had is they had Walmart store number one. And the whole idea of that is that, they would capture this sale at that point. And really what I'm looking for is and we have lots of customer portals. And what I'm looking to do, and I don't know whether it's AI or whether it's RFID, but I'm looking to capture that data so that I know when our products are sold, and then it gets back to me. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to employ an individual to do data mining because I feel like AI can do this for me. I suck the data in, put it somewhere.
Yep.
I'm going to pull it from many portals. But I'm just not quite sure how anybody else is handling that type of request.
Yeah, we see that a lot done with RFID, and then kind of like Oliver said, there's so many different touch points and so much different data that then you can use AI to kind of analyze that. But RFID is a great way to track and that's what Walmart was trying to do, right? Track all their products and where are they at and did they sell and when did they sell and get all that kind of data. And we do have a lot of customers of ours that are required by Dick's Sporting Goods, by Walmart, by all the Macy's, and they're all coming back to the RFID now. And the beauty of it is, since they have to do it anyways, why not benefit and use that technology within your manufacturing process and your warehousing process and your point of sale locations too that you use? So we're definitely seeing that RFID can really do that because there's no human interaction. You can have your readers throughout, and there's other technologies as well, but for one of the lower cost ones, RFID is going to be your lower cost option.
Yeah, because it's one of those ones that I don't want to know when because we're a distributor, so we send it out to the distribution centers. I'm not really interested when it's sitting in the distribution center. What I'm interested in is when it goes off the shelf. So
that's where the magic happens. Well, everyone, we're about at our bewitching hour. I really appreciate everyone's full participation. Very interesting conversation here. A little bit about Forseti. We actually are an IFS implementer and reseller, and we do a lot of services. We leverage a lot of Latin American companies or resources, which is kind of a sweet spot for us. Also, we have Validatum, which is a data privacy and protection company that deals with canonical designs, data lakes, data delivery, those types of things. But definitely appreciate everyone's time. Eric, did you have any closing comments?
Yep, just this was great. It was fun to learn what other customers are seeing, especially around the AI. It's just there's so much differences out there on it. So great learning a little bit more about that. If any of you want to continue conversations, all of us, Marcelo, Steve, and I, were more than happy. Hit us on LinkedIn. We can do specific conversations around things like cycle counting, RFID, AI, and focus it a little bit more on your business because every business is a little different. So
yeah, and we'll share our folks' contact information on this roundtable so that you guys, again, it's about the network and the people we surround ourselves with, and we drive results by leveraging not necessarily what we might know, but who might know what we need to know. So. And then, Gary, we didn't really get a chance to hear back from you. Was there anything you wanted to add before we go?
I've got to jump off, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add. Most of my experience with AI is more in I think it was touched on more of a machine learning, but it's been improving forecasting models and then integrating that into your SIOP processes. That's really the only opportunity I've had to use it much.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely follow
Mhm.
up with you and I'd love to hear and share some more stuff. So, everyone, thank you very much, Eric. Thank you very much for your time and being our spotlight speaker. And everyone, have a great holiday season coming up.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye now.